Ozymandias is one of the most anthologized poems written by English poet Percy B.C. Shelley. It is a sonnet first published in The Examiner in 1818. The next year, it got a place in Shelley's collection Rosalind and Helen, a modern eclogue with other poems. The sonnet is about the ruins of a statue of Ozymandias. In antiquity, Ozymandias was a Greek name for the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II, who ruled from 1279 BCE to 1213 BCE. It's no surprise that the poem is named after him. But the poem ironically presents a great message about the transitory or short-lived existence of the boastful might of the ruler. The king once enjoyed his commanding power, but time has brought its decay. Even his statue is now reduced to dust. But the head of the statue, which is half sunk in the sand, still expresses the passions of the ruler. So, what remains alive is the sculptor's work of art. So, the poet here highlights the mortality and inevitable decline of so-called mighty leaders and their false pride, in contrary to the immortality of creative works. Though the subject of the sonnet is not a typical one for Shelley's poetry, it has been a popular poem and has influenced many other literary creations since its publication. It is worth mentioning here that Shelley wrote this poem in competition with his friend Horace Smith, who primarily gave his poem the same name Ozymandias and published that in the same magazine. The poem is a narrative poem where the speaker starts with I, making it look like a first-person narrative, but then it gets into a frame of reported speech from another man, a traveler from an antique land whom the speaker met. Actually, this sonnet got its content from the Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, who wrote about a massive Egyptian statue quoting the inscription under it. So, Diodorus's work served as the source of the poem. The sonnet is in iambic pentameter with some irregularities. The rhyme scheme is A B A B A C D C E D E F E F is uncommon for a sonnet. The octave, the first 8 lines of a sonnet, and the sestet, the last 6 lines of a sonnet, are linked together. Clearly, the poet has experimented with the form and rhyme scheme of the sonnet. So now we are going to do a line by line explanation and analysis of the poem Ozymandias. The poem starts like this. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, so here antique means old, prachin. Here the speaker of the poem says that he had once met a traveler from an antique land. So the traveler was from a place with an ancient history like Rome, Greece, or ancient Egypt. The traveler told him his story of the ruins of a giant statue that he had come across. So, it's a story within a story, a narrative within a narrative. Some critics opine that this framing has helped the poet add another level of obscurity to Ozymandias' position in people's mind. It is suggestive of how pride and glory of power fade away with time. So এখানে স্পিকার যে কবিতাটা বলছে সে একটি ট্রাভেলারের সাথে মিট করে তার কাছ থেকে অনেক কিছু জানতে পারছে এবং এই পোয়েমটা একটা স্টোরি উইদিন এ স্টোরি, একটা গল্পের মধ্যে একটা গল্প। সেই কারণে এই কবিতাটাকে আরও বেশি আমাদের কাছে কঠিন করে দিচ্ছে, ক্রিটিকরা বলেছেন। নেক্সট, টু ভাস্ট trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies. So, trunkless means without the upper body, the main part of the body of a human being or any animal, excluding the head, neck, and limbs. Sunk means to descend below the surface of something, ডুবে যাওয়া। Shattered, broken into pieces, মানে ভেঙে যাওয়া, ভেঙে একদম টুকরো টুকরো হয়ে যাওয়া। Visage means face, মুখ, কোনো একটা ব্যক্তির মুখ। So here the traveler told the narrator that he saw two huge stone legs of a statue in the middle of a desert. Trunkless suggests the leg were standing there without the upper body or the torso. The desert indicates that it was ancient Egypt. Near the standing legs, he also came across the broken head, shattered visage of the statue that was partially buried in the sand. Visage means face, but it implies a head here. The shattered head denotes that the whole statue is destroyed, but we don't really know what exactly happened to the statue. It's perhaps just the natural process of decay with time. Next, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read. So here sneer means facial expression of scorn or hostility in which the upper lip may be raised, বিরক্তিকর একটা ভাব, মনোভাব। Wrinkled, marks of lines or folds. Frown means expression of anger and displeasure. Cold means without feelings for others. Command means domination or control. Sculptor means an artist who makes sculptures, স্থাপত্য ভাস্কর্য যে তৈরি করে। Passions refers to the expressions on the king's face. Read, interpreted. So, the traveler goes on to describe that the face of the statue lying on the sand had the expressions still visible and identifiable of the mighty ruler Ozymandias. He has used frowned, wrinkled up, and sneer of cold command to give us an impression that the subject of the statue was an angry, commanding, and often upset man. But the next line shifts the attention from the statue to the sculptor who created it. The traveler admires the artist and felt his subject's passion and emotion very well. Subject means the man in the statue. That is why he could draw the face so perfectly that is still visible. Next, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. Survive means continue to exist after his death. মৃত্যুর পরেও বেঁচে আছে। Stamped, sculpted, printed or engraved, মুদ্রিত করা, mocked, to copy something, কোনো কিছুকে কপি করা। Here the man continues his praise for the sculptor. The words which yet survive implies the moral immortality of a work of art that the artist created. Immortality of an work of art, যেটা আমরা শেক্সপিয়ারের স্যালাই কম্পেয়ার দি কবিতাটাতে পড়েছি। যতদিন কবিতা বেঁচে থাকবে ততদিন কবিতার মাধ্যমে লেখকের বন্ধুর কথা আমাদের মনে থাকবে। His creation is still alive, stamped, এখনও মুদ্রিত করা আছে on the otherwise lifeless stones. যেসব পাথরগুলো কোনো জীবন ছিল না, সেই পাথরে মুদ্রিত করার পর সেই পাথরগুলোই প্রাণ চলে এসছে। The sculptor's hands copied and portrayed mocked his subject's passions, and his heart felt those and inspired to make it possible. So that hand and that heart yet survive through his masterful creation. Next, and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. So here pedestal means the base of a statue. Mighty means the powerful kings of the world. Despair means without hope, nirasha. So now again the poem shifts to the statue. The traveler quotes the words written on its pedestal. The inscription declares the name of the man. It's Ozymandias. He also regarded himself as the King of Kings. The ruler addresses others who think themselves powerful, that is mighty, to look at his works to get their illusion shattered. As you already know from the above section that this was the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II. The works might indicate to the infamous or famous temples and statues he built. Here Ozymandias is giving a warning to the other kings and rulers not to hope for much greatness, as they can never cross his achievements. That certainly gives an impression of his proud and commanding nature. But ironically enough, his own statue is now grounded by the great force of nature. Next, nothing beside remains. Round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. So here beside means else. Decay means broken pieces of the statue, যেগুলো ভেঙে গেছে, ক্ষয়ে গেছে। Colossal means extremely large or great, অনেক বড়। Wreck means ruins, ধ্বংসাবশেষ। Boundless means without limits. Bare means without the great statue of Ozymandias, নগ্ন। Lone means the only survivor, একমাত্র বেঁচে যাওয়া লোক বা বেঁচে যাওয়া জিনিস এইখানে। So here comes the final words from the traveler on how there is nothing except those ruins and the sands all around. The colossal wreck hints at how the gigantic statue and the high-flying passions attached to it are all dusted now. ধূলিসাৎ হয়ে গেছে। The boundless and bare, the alone and level sands stretching far away symbolizes the vastness of time. সময়ের দীর্ঘস্থায়িতা দেখাচ্ছে, সময়ের শেষ নেই। We, the human beings, are very little creatures in the vast passage of time. Our pride and might will eventually disappear. But what remains immortal is the work of art. These lines suggest the central theme of the sonnet.